Stella looked more carefully at the alien. The height, the distinctive patterning of bioluminescence memory flashed of a wounded Zinthari youth she'd found near a crashed scout ship on a remote moon. She had treated the alien's injuries and helped repair the ship despite the risk of violating first contact protocols. The Galactic Council had strict rules about interfering with Zinthari affairs. The young alien on Proxima B, Stella whispered. That was Unilara, inclined her head. I have carried the debt since that day. When our sensors detected a human biosignature aboard the outpost and Kraxan ships approaching, I knew I must act. Nilara's scout ship activated its stealth system and moved away from the trading outpost. The vessel slipped silently through space, undetectable to the Kraxan warships focused on their raid. Stella watched the alien commander direct her crew with calm efficiency. The Zinthari moved with fluid grace, their tall forms elegant despite the emergency. Their skin patterns glowed in subtle coordination as if communicating through light itself. You saved my life, Stella said. Still processing this unexpected reunion. I never thought I'd see you again. The Zinthari homeworlds are so far from human space. I am Nilara, the commander replied formally. We have much to discuss, but first we must reach safe distance. The Zinthari crew worked in near silence, their coordination perfect as they guided the ship away from danger. Stella noticed how they deferred to Nilara, with unusual reverence for a military unit. Their respect seemed beyond normal military protocol. Once they were safely away from the outpost, Nilara invited Stella to a private chamber. The room was sparsely furnished with geometric designs that seemed to shift subtly when not directly observed. Typical of the enigmatic Zinthari aesthetics that valued simplicity and mathematical perfection. You risked much to help me that day. Nilara said, seating herself across from Stella. Few humans would aid a stranded Zinthari. I just did what was right. Stella shrugged. You were injured. Your ship was damaged. I had supplies and basic repair knowledge. Nilara studied the human with curious eyes. Stella had not changed much in 5 years. Her auburn hair was longer now, tied back in a practical style. Her face showed new lines of experience but maintained the same determined expression Nilara had remembered. The Zinthari never revealed her royal identity. As they traveled to the nearest human outpost, she maintained the pretense of being a military commander. Revealing her true status as crown princess would only complicate matters. The royal family would be furious to learn of her unauthorized expedition beyond Zinthari space. During the journey, they shared stories of their respective worlds. Stella spoke of Earth's oceans and forests, while Nilara described the crystal cities of Zinthar Prime. Humans live such brief lives, Nilara observed. Yet you accomplish much in your limited time, Stella smiled. Perhaps because we know our time is limited, we don't have 3 centuries like Zinthari. With each passing hour, the princess found herself more fascinated by the human. The Zinthari valued emotional control, but Stella expressed herself openly, laughing at small joys and showing concern for others without restraint. It was refreshingly different from court life. Nilara found herself sharing more than she intended, revealing details of Zinthari culture rarely discussed with outsiders. She explained the complex caste system, the spiritual connection her people felt with the stars, and the rigidity of their traditions. Your people sound beautiful but constrained, Stella remarked after hearing about the elaborate rules governing Zinthari society. All those protocols and ceremonies, no wonder you wanted to explore. Nilara felt exposed, as if the human could see through her commander disguise to the restless princess beneath. Had her desire for freedom been so obvious even 5 years ago when they first met? Their peaceful journey ended abruptly when the ship sensors detected a Kraxan cruiser in pursuit. They must have tracked us somehow. Stella said, examining the sensor readings. They won't give up easily. Humans fetch high prices in their markets. Velix, the second in command, approached. Nilara, Commander, we are being pursued. The Kraxan vessel is larger than our scout ship. We cannot outrun them. Indefinitely, Nilara felt protective rage build within her. Such barbarity. The Zinthari had advanced weaponry, but her small scout ship could not outfight a cruiser. They would have to outsmart their pursuers. Stella studied the star charts displayed on the bridge. The nearby systems offered few hiding places. A dense asteroid field might provide temporary cover, but the Kraxen would simply wait them out. A gas giant with hazardous storms might deter pursuit, but navigating it would be equally dangerous for their vessel. There Stella pointed to a colorful nebula at the edge of the chart. The radiation should interfere with their tracking systems. Nylara considered the suggestion. The Whispering Veil Nebula was notorious for its unpredictable energy discharges. Navigation would be challenging, but the scout ship's smaller size gave them an advantage. The cruiser would struggle to follow their exact path. Nylara set course for the nebula, hoping to lose the Kraxen in the dense gas clouds. The scout ship's engines strained as they pushed deeper into the colorful cosmic fog. The pursuing cruiser followed, but its larger size made navigation difficult. The Kraxen commander grew impatient and fired weapons into the nebula. Explosive charges detonated around the scout ship. A lucky shot clipped their engine housing. Alerts flashed across control panels as the ship began losing power. Nylara worked frantically at the controls while Stella attempted emergency repairs. The human disappeared into the engine compartment, returning covered in coolant fluid, but with a determined smile. I rerouted the secondary power couplings, she explained. We have enough thrust for one jump. The Zinthari crew looked impressed. Despite their technological advancement, few would have attempted such a dangerous repair while in flight. Stella had demonstrated the practical ingenuity humans were known for throughout the galaxy. Their options were limited. The nebula contained an uncharted wormhole, one the Zinthari had been studying from a distance. It was unstable, but might provide escape. The princess hesitated. Such an action might strand them far from known space or worse collapse the ship entirely. But the Kraxen were closing in. The cruiser is launching boarding craft. Velix reported. They will intercept in 7 minutes. Stella stood beside Nylara at the command console. The wormhole is our only chance, she said softly. If we time our approach with that energy surge, she pointed to the sensor reading, it might mask our signature. Together they piloted toward the wormhole, the ship shuddering under the strain. The spatial anomaly loomed ahead, a swirling vortex of energy against the colorful nebula backdrop. The Kraxen commander realized their plan too late. His cruiser turned to intercept, but the smaller scout ship had the advantage of speed. Even damaged, they reached the wormhole first. The passage through bent reality around them. Stella grabbed Nylara's hand instinctively as the ship's alarms blared, warning of structural integrity failure. The princess returned the gesture, finding unexpected comfort in the human contact. They emerged in unknown space, the wormhole collapsing behind them. No sign of the Kraxen cruiser appeared on sensors. Had the pursuers been destroyed in the collapse or simply left behind in their home system? There was no way to know. The ship drifted damaged but intact. Emergency power maintained life support, but navigation systems flickered unreliably. Where are we? Stella asked, gazing at unfamiliar star patterns visible through the viewport. Stella Hayes stood at the viewport of the trading outpost, gazing at the stars when the alarm sounded. 3 ships appeared on the scanner, their design unmistakable, Kraxen warships. The human woman pulled her jacket tight around her shoulders. Her small trading vessel would be no match for the approaching threat. Stella had survived 5 years in deep space trading. Rare minerals between Earth colonies and alien worlds. But this might be where her luck ran out. The outpost shuddered as the first warning shot struck its outer shields. Red emergency lights flashed throughout the corridors. Stella knew the outpost defenses would not hold for long. The Kraxen were notorious for their advanced weapons technology and their ruthless efficiency. Stella rushed to the docking bay where her ship waited. The small vessel nicknamed Wanderer had been her home since she left Earth Colony. 7 following the mining disaster that claimed her parents, she had modified the ship herself, adding hidden compartments for valuable cargo and a better engine than standard models. Her livelihood depended on staying one step ahead of pirates and slavers, like the Kraxen. The outpost manager, a bulky 4-armed alien named Gorks, blocked her path as she approached her. Ship no departures during attack protocol. Gorks rumbled his translator device, converting his native clicks and whistles into human speech. Station lockdown in effect. Stella glanced at the status monitors. The Kraxan ships were positioning themselves around the outpost, cutting off all escape routes. She knew what would happen next. The pirates would board the station, take anything valuable, and capture the occupants. Humans were particularly prized in Kraxan slave markets for their adaptability and endurance. I need to get to my ship, Stella argued. I have sensitive cargo. The manager waved all four arms in refusal. Rules exist for safety. Your ship would be destroyed before clearing docking clamps. Stella knew Gorks was right, but waiting for capture was not an option. She needed another plan. The outpost trembled again, stronger this time. The shields were failing. Panic spread among the various aliens and humans in the docking area. Some rushed to their ships despite the warnings. Others sought hiding places among the cargo containers. Stella slipped away from the crowd. Her years of trading in dangerous territories had taught her to notice things others missed, like the maintenance tunnels that ran throughout the station. She located a service hatch partially hidden behind a stack of supply crates. Commander Nylara of the Zinthari Royal Guard observed the unfolding attack from the bridge of her scout ship. Her tall, slender form towered over her crew. Her skin shimmered with faint purple bioluminescence, a trait of the Zinthari royal bloodline. Though disguised as a common guard captain, she was in truth Crown Princess Nylarala, Zinthine, 6th dynasty of the Stellar Convergence. The princess had escaped the palace to explore the galaxy against her parents' wishes. Zinthari royalty rarely left their homeworld. But Nylara had always been different, curious about other species and restless within the confines of court life. The trading outpost represents neutral territory, Nylara said to her second-in-command. Those Kraxan ships violate the peace treaty. Her officer, a loyal Zinthari named Velix, nodded. We should depart before we are noticed. Your Highness, your safety is paramount. Nylara frowned. The ship scanners had detected a human biosignature aboard the station. Something about this particular reading seemed oddly familiar, though she could not explain why memories stirred from 5 Earth years ago during her first secret expedition to human space. Prepare to activate stealth systems, Nylara ordered. The Zinthari scout ship, unlike most vessels in the galaxy, possessed technology that rendered it virtually undetectable to standard sensors. We will move closer to observe. Velix looked concerned but would never contradict the princess directly. The Zinthari had a strict non-interference policy with other species, especially humans. Such primitive species were considered beneath direct contact. But Princess Nylara had developed unconventional ideas. During her studies, inside the outpost, Stella crawled through the narrow maintenance tunnel. The air was stale and the passage barely wide enough for her to move on hands and knees. Emergency lighting cast an eerie red glow at regular intervals. She could feel the vibrations of the attack growing stronger. The tunnel network branched in multiple directions. Stella consulted the small holomap projected from her wrist device. She needed to reach the emergency escape pods on the station's far side. There was little chance the pods would outrun Kraxan warships, but perhaps in the confusion of the attack, one might slip past unnoticed. A loud explosion rocked the station. Stella nearly lost her balance. The attack was intensifying. She quickened her pace. Her communicator beeped with an automated message. Attention all personnel, station boarding in progress. Security breached in sectors 3, 7, and 9. Proceed to designated safety zones. Stella grimaced. Designated safety zones were exactly where the Kraxan would look first. She continued through the tunnel network, changing direction whenever she heard noises from adjacent corridors. The maintenance shaft eventually opened into a small storage room. Stella peered carefully through the hatch before emerging. No one in sight. She slipped out, closing the panel behind her. This section of the station seemed temporarily deserted. A soft hissing sound made Stella spin around, hand reaching for the small blaster at her hip. A hidden doorway had opened in what she'd thought was a solid wall, revealing a tall alien figure. Stella gasped, recognizing the distinctive features of a Zinthari. Their kind rarely interacted with humans, preferring isolation in their distant star system. This one wore the formal attire of Zinthari military, her height and bearing suggesting authority. Human the alien spoke, her voice melodic. Despite the translator, "Come with me if you wish to live." Something in those glowing eyes seemed familiar, but Stella had no time to consider it. Kraxan troops were minutes from boarding the station. She followed the mysterious alien through the hidden passage. The passage led to a secluded docking port where a sleek Zinthari vessel waited, unlike any ship Stella had seen before. Its surface seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The craft was clearly built for stealth. "Why help me?" Stella asked as they boarded. The Zinthari never involved themselves in other species' problems. The tall alien did not immediately answer. Instead, she guided Stella aboard and sealed the airlock. With a series of quick commands to her crew, the ship detached from the outpost through the viewport. Stella watched as Kraxan boarding vessels attached themselves to the station like parasites. The outpost would soon be overrun. Her ship Wanderer would likely be seized or destroyed along with everything she owned. "You do not remember me," the Zinthari commander finally said, turning to face Stella. The alien's luminescent patterns pulsed with what might have been emotion. The navigational system struggled to identify their location. They were far beyond charted territory. No familiar constellations appeared in their star maps. Nylara consulted with her science officer, a quiet Zinthari named Talax, whose skin patterns glowed with scholarly intensity. "Based on quantum resonance patterns, we have traveled approximately 7,000 light-years from our previous position," Talax reported, "and possibly crossed into a parallel dimensional plane. The wormhole was more unstable than our studies indicated." Stella looked out at the unfamiliar stars. 7,000 light-years. Even with the fastest ships, that would mean years of travel to return to known space. The crew worked to assess damage and restore critical systems. The main engines were offline, but auxiliary power remained functional. Life support systems operated at reduced capacity. The ship's food synthesizers continued to function, though they would need raw materials. Eventually, Nylara gathered her officers for a strategy session while Stella assisted with repairs. Her experience with retrofitting her own ship proved valuable as she helped the Zinthari engineers adapt to their limited resources. During a break, Stella joined Nylara in the observation dome. The transparent ceiling offered an unobstructed view of space. A breathtaking spiral galaxy dominated the vista, its arms swirling with countless stars. "No one has ever seen this view before," Stella mused. "At least no one from our worlds." Nylara nodded. "There is beauty, even in our misfortune." As days passed, Stella noticed increasing deference from the crew toward Nylara. The formal military protocols seemed excessive for a simple commander. "You aren't just any Zinthari officer, are you?" Stella asked one evening as they shared a meal in Nylara's quarters. The princess hesitated, weighing her response. The human had earned her trust, but royal identity was not revealed lightly, even among her own people. "I am Crown Princess Nylarala Zinthine, 6th dynasty of the Stellar Convergence," Nylara finally admitted. "My expedition beyond our borders was unauthorized. My parents, the High Sovereigns, would not approve of my interest in other species." Stella was surprised but not overawed. She treated the princess the same as before, which Nylara found refreshing. Unlike the constant deference she received at court. "So I rescued alien royalty." Stella laughed softly. "No wonder you came looking for me. The royal family probably has some ancient honor code about life debts." Nylara smiled, a rare expression for a Zinthari. "Indeed. The Zinthari believe that to save a life is to become responsible for it. Our fates are now linked by cosmic design. We have each saved the other now." Nylara observed. "The debt between us is balance." Stella smiled. "Perhaps it was never about debt. Maybe the universe simply wanted us to meet again." The princess considered this. The Zinthari believed in cosmic purpose, that all beings moved along paths laid out by the stars themselves. Had her path always been meant to intersect with this human's? After 2 weeks of repairs, they had restored partial propulsion. Their scanners detected a habitable planet in a nearby star system. The lush green world offered hope for resupply, and perhaps materials to complete repairs. The planet orbited a yellow star similar to Earth's sun. Preliminary scans showed breathable atmosphere, abundant plant life, and fresh water. No signs of intelligent civilization appeared, but diverse animal species roamed the continents. They established orbit and prepared a landing party Nylara insisted on joining despite her officer's concerns. Stella accompanied them, her experience with unknown environments valuable for first contact scenarios. The shuttle descended through wispy clouds, revealing a landscape of rolling hills covered in purple vegetation. A vast ocean glittered on the horizon, its water reflecting the light of the unfamiliar sun. Forests of tall, spiral-shaped trees stretched across valleys while flying creatures soared between their branches. The landing party sat down in a clearing by a meandering river. The air smelled sweet with unfamiliar floral scents. Gravity was slightly lower than Earth standard, making movement feel effortless. It's beautiful. Stella breathed, stepping onto the alien soil. The first human to touch this world, Nylara followed her skin patterns, shifting to adapt to the new light conditions. Her sensory organs detected subtle electromagnetic fields generated by the native life. A normal adaptation for Xinthari, whose evolutionary history included predators that hunted by bioelectric signatures. They established a base camp and began cataloging the local flora and fauna. Stella discovered fruits, resembling blue apples that the ship's analyzer deemed safe for human consumption. They tasted like cinnamon and honey. The local water, once filtered, proved refreshing and pure. As weeks turned to months, they built a more permanent settlement using materials from their ship. They constructed dwellings that combined Xinthari geometric precision with human practicality. The crew adapted to life on the planet, which they named Haven Stella, and Nylara often explored together, venturing further from the settlement with each expedition. They discovered hot springs with healing mineral properties, caves filled with luminescent crystals, and valleys where floating seed pods danced in thermal currents. During these journeys, their friendship deepened. Stella taught Nylara to fish in the clear streams, demonstrating the patience her grandfather had instilled in her during childhood summers on Earth. Colony 7, Nylara showed Stella how to read the stars, helping them track their possible location. In the greater cosmos one evening, as twin moons rose over their camp, Nylara felt something shift in her understanding of the universe. The rigid traditions of Xinthari royalty seemed distant compared to the genuine connection she had formed with this human. Stella sat beside a campfire, the flames highlighting her features as she sketched the alien landscape in a journal. She had begun documenting their discoveries, hoping the record would someday make its way back to human space. Nylara watched, her with growing awareness of emotions unfamiliar to Xinthari consciousness, feelings that transcended cultural boundaries and species differences. The princess who had once sought adventure now found herself valuing connection more than exploration. If rescue never comes, would that be so terrible? Nylara asked softly. Stella looked up from her drawing. I miss some things from home, but this place has its own kind of magic, and the company is better than most trading outposts. Their moment of connection was interrupted by an urgent communication from the settlement. A strange energy signature had been detected in orbit. Initial scans suggested it might be a ship. They returned to find the camp buzzing with activity. The science officer had been monitoring the anomaly for hours. It appears to be a dimensional ripple similar to our wormhole transit. Talax explained, it could be a natural phenomenon, or someone following our trail. Nylara finished. The energy signature grew stronger over subsequent days, finally materializing as a vessel of unmistakable Xinthari design, a royal search ship larger and more powerful than their scout vessel. A year had passed since their arrival on Haven. The settlement had grown from emergency shelters to a comfortable village. The crew had adapted to planetary life, establishing gardens growing native and synthesized hybrid crops, and creating a community that blended Xinthari precision with human flexibility. When the royal search vessel established orbit, Nylara felt conflicting emotions. Relief at potential rescue warred with reluctance to leave the world that had become home, and uncertainty about what this meant for her relationship with Stella. The search ship's captain, Grand Admiral Xenthar, was one of her father's most trusted advisors. His arrival suggested the highest levels of Xinthari government had authorized the rescue mission, a shuttle descended from the royal vessel landing in the cleared area near the settlement. Admiral Zenthar emerged, flanked by elite royal guards, his tall form resplendent in formal uniform, his skin patterns glowing with the blue intensity that signified highest military rank Princess Nylarahla. The admiral bowed deeply. The High Sovereigns will rejoice at your safety. We have searched across galaxies for you. Nylara stood tall once again, assuming the formal posture of crown princess. Her year on Haven had changed her, but royal training remained ingrained in her bearing. Admiral, your arrival is unexpected but welcome, she replied with practiced poise. How did you locate us across dimensional boundaries? The admiral explained that Zinthari scientists had detected quantum echoes from the wormhole collapse. They had spent months developing technology to follow the signature, eventually creating a stable dimensional gateway. While they spoke, Stella stood to the side, watching the reunion with mixed feelings. The Zinthari crew had become like family during their time on Haven, but she remained an outsider, a human among aliens. Her status as Nylara's friend offered some protection, but with the return of royal authority, old boundaries might reemerge. That evening, a formal dinner celebrated the rescue. Admiral Zenthar shared news from the Zinthari homeworlds. The High Sovereigns had been distraught at their daughter's disappearance. Political factions had used the crisis to push for changes in succession laws. The entire stellar kingdom had been in turmoil. Your return is essential, Princess, the admiral said. The dynasty requires stability. Only your presence can silence those who would use your absence to undermine the throne. Nylara listened, her expression neutral as royal protocol demanded. But her mind raced with implications. Her freedom, her time on Haven would end. She would return to court politics, marriage negotiations, and the weight of royal responsibility. After dinner, Stella found Nylara standing alone on a cliff overlooking the ocean. The twin moons cast silver light across the waves. Below, their settlement glowed with warm light against the darkness. You have to go back, Stella said. It wasn't a question. Nylara turned, her luminescence dimmed with emotion. My duty has always been to my people. The admiral speaks truth. The kingdom needs stability. Stella nodded, understanding the weight of responsibility that came with Nylara's position. They both knew this moment would come eventually. What of you? Stella asked. Will you return to trading once they take you to known space? Nylara looked at her human friend, studying features that had become precious over their shared months of exile. I cannot leave you behind. After all we have experienced. Admiral Zenthar interrupted their conversation, approaching with formal steps, his expression solemn. Princess, we must depart within 3 cycles. Dimensional stability requires precise timing for return transit. The admiral hesitated before continuing. There is another matter requiring your attention. The human. His tone when referring to Stella carried subtle dismissal. The old Zinthari prejudice toward younger species evident in his manner. Nylara straightened, her full royal authority evident in her bearing. This human saved my life twice. Admiral, she will be welcomed on Zinthar Prime as my honored companion. The admiral looked startled but composed himself quickly. Such an arrangement is unprecedented, Your Highness. The royal court has never. My decision is final, Nylara stated, the patterns on her skin flashing with intensity that signaled royal command. No Zinthari would question the princess, especially in matters of life. Debt. Stella watched this exchange with surprise. Honored companion was a formal designation among Zinthari nobility, reserved for those granted permanent protection and residence within royal households. It was more than friendship, but defied simple translation into human terms. Are you certain? Stella asked when they were alone again. Your people may not accept a human in their midst. Nylara took Stella's hands in her own. Our paths crossed twice across impossible distances that cannot be cosmic accident. The Zinthari believe in destined connections, rarely proven but deeply revered. Even the most traditional nobles respect such bonds. The following days passed in preparation for departure. Some crew members elected to remain on Haven, having found peace in their exile. They would establish a permanent colony maintaining Zinthari presence in this new dimension. Others, including Velix and Talax, would return with the princess. Stella packed few possessions. Most of what she owned had been lost with her trading vessel at the outpost. Her life had been simplified during their time on Haven. She carried only journals documenting their discoveries and small keepsakes collected during explorations. Before departure, Nylara and Stella visited their favorite places on Haven one final time. They climbed the crystal mountains where flying creatures nested in glittering caves. They swam in the clear waters of the healing springs. They watched a final sunset from their cliff overlooking the settlement. "This world will always be ours," Nylara said. "No matter what comes next." The return journey began with a formal ceremony. Admiral Zenthar transferred command of the search vessel to Princess Nylara, a gesture of respect acknowledging her status. The dimensional gateway generator activated, creating a swirling portal similar to the wormhole that had brought them to Haven. The massive royal ship entered the portal with greater stability than their original transit. The technology had been perfected, ensuring safe passage. They emerged in Zinthari, space near the outermost planet of the home system. Stella observed the famous crystal worlds of the Zinthari Empire through the viewport 7 planets orbiting a blue giant star. Each world connected by shimmering energy bridges visible even from space. The legendary beauty of the Zinthari civilization lived up to its reputation. As they approached the royal homeworld, Nylara prepared Stella for what was to come. The court protocols, the complicated hierarchy, the expectations placed on anyone associated with royalty. "The high sovereigns will test you," Nylara warned. "They will question your presence. They may seem cold or dismissive, but they respect courage and truth. Speak as you always have, with honesty and directness." The royal palace occupied an entire continent, its crystal spires reaching toward the stars. Gardens of geometric precision surrounded structures of impossible architecture that seemed to defy gravity. When they landed, a formal reception awaited. The high sovereigns themselves had come to welcome their daughter home, their tall forms adorned with ceremonial attire that enhanced their natural luminescence. The king and queen of the most advanced civilization in known space. Nylara approached her parents, performing the ritual. Greetings with perfect precision. The formal words of reunion spoken in ancient Zinthari language. Stella remained back with Velix and the other officers observing the ceremony. Then, to everyone's surprise, the High Sovereign Queen broke protocol, stepping forward to embrace her daughter. A gesture of emotion rarely displayed in public. The watching nobles murmured at this unprecedented breach of tradition. "We feared you lost forever," Nylara's mother whispered. The queen's luminescence pulsed with maternal concern. The formal welcome continued with introductions of the rescue team. Admiral Zenthar presented each officer, highlighting their contributions to the mission. When Stella was presented, the court fell silent. Humans were known to the Zinthari, but rarely welcomed in their inner sanctums. "This is Stella Hayes of Earth," the princess announced. "She saved my life when my scout ship crashed 5 Earth years ago, and aided our survival in the dimension beyond the wormhole. I have named her my honored companion." The High Sovereign King studied Stella with ancient eyes that seemed to look through her rather than at her. His luminescence shifted through patterns that Stella could not interpret, but she met his gaze without wavering. A human in the royal household, the king finally spoke, his translator rendering his formal Zinthari into English. Unprecedented. But life debts transcend tradition. "You are welcome, Stella Hayes of Earth." The following weeks brought adjustment for both Stella and Nylara. The princess resumed royal duties, attending council meetings, diplomatic functions, and cultural ceremonies. The structure of court life contrasted sharply with their freedom on Haven. Stella received quarters in the royal wing, a suite of rooms designed with Zinthari aesthetics, but adapted for human comfort. Servants assigned to her needs struggled to understand human requirements, but learned quickly. She was assigned tutors in language protocol and history to help her navigate court life. Despite her status as honored companion, Stella often found herself isolated. Many nobles avoided direct interaction with her, viewing humans as primitive or unsuitable for royal association. Others showed cautious curiosity, asking endless questions about Earth and human customs. Stella missed the easy companionship she had shared with Nylara on Haven. The princess was constantly surrounded by advisors, petitioners, and family members. Their moments together became rare, scheduled rather than spontaneous. 3 months after their return, Stella stood on a balcony overlooking the capital city. The crystalline structures caught the light of the blue sun, creating rainbows across the landscape below. Zinthari citizens moved with purpose through geometric gardens and mathematically perfect plazas. Nylara found her there. The princess had slipped away from a diplomatic reception, her formal attire glittering with embedded crystals that enhanced her natural bioluminescence. "You are troubled," Nylara observed. Stella smiled ruefully. "Your people have been kind in their way, but I don't belong here. This world is beautiful but alien to me. I miss our simple life on Haven. I miss," as Nylara finished. She moved closer, her formal reserve dropping away. "I too find myself longing for those days, the freedom, the discovery, the honesty of survival without pretense." They stood in comfortable silence, watching the 3 moons rise over the horizon, each satellite a different color, casting multicolored light across the crystal city. "I have a proposal," Nylara finally said, "one that might solve both our difficulties." The following day, the princess requested formal audience with the High Sovereigns, a procedure rarely needed for family matters. The formal setting indicated the seriousness of her petition. The throne room echoed with ancient power. Crystal columns supported a ceiling that seemed open to space itself. The thrones of the High Sovereigns floated above the floor, maintained by technology so advanced it appeared magical. Nylara approached with Stella beside her. The princess wore formal attire but had removed the royal insignia that indicated her position in succession. Her luminescence patterns showed determination. "Honored parents, I come with petition," she began. The formal Zinthari phrases establishing her request. The High Sovereigns listened as Nylara proposed an unprecedented arrangement. She would establish a diplomatic mission to unknown space, beginning with the dimension. They had discovered the Zinthari had long isolated themselves from galactic affairs, believing their advanced culture should develop untainted by outside influence. The universe grows more connected each cycle. Nylara argued our isolation becomes increasingly difficult to maintain. Rather than resist change, we should guide it. Her proposal included establishing formal contact with human colonies, creating cultural exchange programs and scientific cooperation, particularly regarding dimensional travel. The mission would begin with Haven establishing a permanent Zinthari presence in the new dimension. Most shocking to the court, Nylara requested temporary release. From succession duties, her younger sibling would serve as heir, while she led the diplomatic mission. The High Sovereigns conferred privately, their luminescence patterns communicating in ways no translator could capture. The assembled nobles waited. Intense silence. Court politics had long favored isolation. Nylara's proposal challenged centuries of tradition. Finally, the king spoke. "You propose fundamental change to our approach to lesser realms." His formal tone revealed nothing of his personal opinion. "Not lesser, honored father," Nylara corrected. "Different. Each species offers unique perspective. My time with humans has shown me the value of their adaptability, creativity, and emotional intelligence. Qualities our people might benefit from." Queen studied her daughter with ancient wisdom. "What you truly seek is freedom from court constraints, a way to continue the adventure you began without permission." Nylara bowed, acknowledging the truth in her mother's observation. "I seek purpose that serves both my happiness and our kingdom's future. The stars have guided my path to this proposal." After further deliberation, the High Sovereigns surprisingly approved a modified version of Nylara's plan. She would establish a diplomatic mission beginning with Haven. The dimensional gateway technology would remain under royal control with scheduled transits between dimensions. She would retain her position in succession, but with temporary relief from court duties. Most importantly, she would serve as cultural ambassador to human space, establishing formal relations with Earth colonies. Stella would accompany her as advisor and liaison to human authorities. The court buzzed with shocked whispers at this unprecedented decision. Some nobles saw opportunity in new connections. Others feared contamination of Zinthari purity. But none would openly challenge the high sovereigns. Ruling 6 months later, Stella stood on the bridge of a new vessel, the Star Covenant, a Zinthari diplomatic ship designed for extended missions in human space. Its crew included both Zinthari officers and human specialists recruited from frontier colonies. The first truly integrated crew in galactic history, Mylara joined her at the viewport, her formal uniform modified to incorporate elements of human design for practical functionality. Her luminescence pattern showed excitement and purpose. Our first mission is to Earth Colony 7. Stella remarked, where my journey began, and where our paths first crossed 5 years ago. Nylara added, when your trading route took you near Proxima. The ship prepared for departure from the Royal Spaceport. Below, crowds gathered to witness the historic launch. Some in support, others in protest of the new diplomatic initiative. As final preparations completed, Nylara took Stella's hand, a gesture that had become natural between them, despite cultural differences. Perhaps being lost was not a tragedy, but an opportunity. Nylara said, echoing thoughts from their time on Haven. Mwamhobor, universe guided us together across impossible distances, for purpose greater than either of us imagined. Stella squeezed Nylara's hand gently. Honored companion, she whispered with a smile that held promise of something more, as the Star Covenant departed. Zinthari space beginning its historic mission. Both women knew that while one journey was ending, another was just beginning. Their story would become legend throughout the stars. The princess and the human trader, who found each other across the vast emptiness of space and together created something new. The dimensional gateway between Zinthari space and Haven remained a closely guarded secret. But as diplomatic relations expanded between humans and Zinthari, other gateways were discovered, other dimensions explored. The universe proved vaster and more connected than either civilization had imagined. Years later, a monument would stand on Haven, commemorating the first settlement, a plaque bearing words in both human English and royal. Zinthari here began the stellar convergence where two species lost among the stars found common purpose and changed the course of galactic history.